Hello.
Hey, Tiffany.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. I was just talking about how sweaty I was right before we
Yeah,
started
it's like
recording.
I'm soaked. I've changed my shirt 3 times today, but not from sweating. We were standing outside on our patio watching this wall of rain come towards us, and you can probably still hear it on the roof, but now it's sunny. It
Oh,
was this
wow.
wild thunderstorm. Yeah, it was
That is
crazy.
crazy. I mean, at least
Yeah.
it's raining, but
Yeah, we need
yeah.
it. We got 2 inches on Monday night, I think.
Okay.
And then I think we just got another inch in this storm, but
Okay.
still in a drought, but we need it for sure.
Yes. Yes.
But tonight, I'm going to talk about something completely different.
Something you do when it's raining.
Yes. Here comes my delightful intro. It's a lot of storytelling tonight.
Oh,
Good
good.
reason. So during the pandemic, I went through something horrible. Okay, have you seen that episode of The Twilight Zone where there's this guy who's obsessed with reading? And he
No, I've only seen a
hates.
couple.
Okay, well, he hates other people, and he's always talking about
Okay.
like, I hate you people. He works in like a vault with archive books. He always talks about all he wants to do is read forever and ever.
Okay. Well,
And then nuclear war breaks out while he's in the vault, and he comes out and he's the only survivor, and there's just books everywhere. And he's like so stoked to be left alone to read forever and ever, and he's like rejoicing, and he steps on his glasses so he can't read.
oh my God.
Okay, so that's how I felt during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I had all of this time to spend indoors and read, and I couldn't concentrate. I
Yeah.
couldn't read. Yep, I
Yeah.
wasn't the only person with this problem, right?
No, not at all. I have a similar story, but I don't have to interrupt you.
Well, go ahead, tell it.
Well, no, we went on a train ride across the country, and I was like, I'm going to get so much work done. I'm going to get so many books read. I'm going to do this, this, this. But I felt like such a captive
Yeah.
that I didn't do any of it. I just sat
Yep.
there and looked out the window. We played some card games, and then I just suffered.
Yeah. Or yeah, like on a plane when you're like, I've got this book to read, and all you do
Yes.
is like watch between the seats of whatever movie is going on in front of you.
Toy Story, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a really common problem today. But I want to talk about books, why they're more important now than ever,
Uh-huh.
and some statistics on what's going on with all of us Americans and books, basically, and some eco-friendly ways you can get out of what I'm going to call the distraction zone and back into books.
Oh my God. I love it. I need it.
Welcome to Greening Up My Act.
I feel like so many people.
You feel this?
Yes. Because
Yeah,
like
and
so many of my friends who are big readers are like, I haven't been reading.
Sean's like, I haven't read a book in 10 years. Like, he's been on the same book since I've known him. It's been like 3.5 years. And he's been
Whoa.
the same book in his bag. And he's read like 2 pages of it, you know?
So interesting.
Yeah. It's not a you problem. It's an us problem. So,
Wow. That makes me feel so much better.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go into some sources. I had a blog called Ella Brave and True on high school students can't focus, and here's why. The Education from Seattle PI, The Advantages of Sustained Silent Reading. The NIH had an article on how does fiction reading influence empathy. JCFS had the importance of books in your home. Chicago Review of Books had some stats on book waste. Statista had mean annual expenditure on books per consumer in the U.S. And Automated had 2024 Amazon book sales statistics. And then I also had bookshop.org and libbyapp.com, which maybe tells you what direction I'm going here.
Yes.
Yeah. So I first want to start it out with why reading is great. Or maybe more why none of us seems able to do it right now.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
actually what I'm first going to talk about. Why no one can read right now. So
That
according
should
to...
be, that should be the title of your.
Yeah. Why no one can read. Why can't I read? Good. So according to Johan Hari, and this is from the Ella Brave and True blog, Johan Hari wrote the book Stolen Focus. We have lost our ability to engage in sustained reading as a society. Concentrating on a book for an extended period of time is a flow state that we've lost. So flow state activities are anything that is, number one, clearly defined, number two, meaningful, and number three, at the edge of our abilities. So it's not too easy and not too hard. So a flow state is when you get lost in an especially meaningful task or hobby, and it gives us purpose and focus. That's what every employer wants you to be in when you're working, is your flow state, right?
It's just like, how often does that happen at work?
Yeah,
Actually,
right.
it does for me. No,
I get into
yeah.
it. When I'm writing something, I'm like, "Brrr," and I'll realize I have 7 text messages, and one of them is somebody was picking up something from my porch, and they're like, "Are you there?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh."
Oh my god.
Like,
Talk about
I don't have
ADHD. That is
Yeah.
so me too.
I don't have to turn on my do not disturb when I'm in flow state, for sure.
Yeah,
I just lose things.
Yep, I do the exact same. We are lucky though that we do something we actually want to be doing with our lives. But
Yeah. But as a culture in the United States, we are in a constant state of anxiety and unhappiness because, number one, the internet, number two, social media, and number three, our smartphones in general have, quote, cultivated an epidemic of distraction and loss of focus.
Okay.
So this is true for several reasons. We're distracted, number one, because we switch contexts continuously. So multitasking is a myth. We're just like computers in that we can't switch from one task to another without losing focus on it.
Yeah.
And I've read some studies that say it takes up to 20 minutes to get back. Once you've been distracted, it takes 20 minutes to get back into a flow state from when you've been pulled out of it.
I believe it.
So because of the way we work and the nature of the internet and social media, we switch contexts pretty much continuously. Secondly, we speed through things without comprehending them. So when you read a news article online or you watch a TikTok or whatever, you don't absorb. I mean, TikTok videos are 30 seconds long, right? The shorter the video, the better. There's no in-depth comprehension. There's no real learning there, you know?
Yeah.
And then our brains have to filter more information than we have evolved to filter through.
Yes.
Which means your brain is just kind of going, everything's irrelevant, everything's irrelevant, everything's irrelevant.
Irrelevant?
Yeah. It's just...
Okay, so just like...
Because it has to rank information for what's important. But if you keep context switching and feeding it more information than it can handle, it's just going to say none of this is relevant.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So in that situation, there's no way to get into a flow state. But we're also training our brains to be unable to get into a flow state.
Yeah. Yep. I totally believe that.
Yeah. And, you know, there's dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin and other chemicals going on in there that have effects, especially if you are prone to ADHD already because of your chemical makeup. But as Ella Brave and True stated in her blog, reading books trains us to read in a particular way, in a linear fashion, focused on one thing for a sustained period. Reading from screens, according to Anne Megan, a professor of literacy at the University of Stavanger in Norway, trains us to read in a different way, in a manic skip and jump from one thing to another. So in the Stolen Focus book, the author says that Mangan's study concludes, or more than one study, her studies conclude, we're more likely to scan and skim when we read on screens because we run our eyes rapidly over the information to extract what we need. And as a result, we lose the ability to immerse ourselves in another world and to experience a deep thought that our brains crave.
Whoa.
That's why, reading the New York Times on your phone is not the same as reading the magazine or the newspaper.
So it physically is a different experience.
Yes.
What about Kindle? You'll probably talk about that.
A little bit. I didn't go into much research on that, but I am going to talk about it some.
Okay.
So they also posit that screen reading contaminates our book reading. That, according to Mangan, we are now losing our ability to read long texts, and we are also losing our cognitive patience and the stamina and the ability to deal with cognitively challenging texts.
So that means we can't think good.
Right. That's why we're all distracted and anxious. So now again, I'm going to talk more about the benefits of reading. So reading silently to ourselves for a sustained period, not from a screen, but from a book or an actual physical. I think Kindles can count because, well, I'll get into that a bit later, but it enhances our reading enjoyment, increases comprehension, builds vocabulary, and improves our writing skills. Beyond that, reading fiction in particular has been shown to increase empathy when you've been, quote unquote, emotionally transported by the story.
Oh.
Which can happen when you're in a flow state reading, right?
Yes, totally. Oh
People
my gosh.
people who read exclusively nonfiction or don't get that emotional transportation from a fiction don't get this increase in empathy. And that was from the NIH study they found.
That's interesting. So, because, depends what type of nonfiction you're reading, though.
If it's
like,
an immersive story, yes.
Yeah,
again.
okay. If it's like a self-help book, then it's not
You're
the
not going to get
same.
an increase in empathy. Right.
But if it's like historical...
A memoir, yeah.
Memoir, historical nonfiction, like, you're going to get into the story and, like, into the people's lives.
You're more, but it was specifically, they specified nonfiction. They didn't say anything about historical autobiography or memoir, how that works. But I would assume...
it just reminds me so much of a former CEO that we both know.
Yes.
And I remember we probably would say this on the podcast, but he at one point was talking about how he's been reading. Oh, no. Somebody asked him, what have you been reading lately?
Yeah.
And he said something about like, oh, the success guide for CEOs or like something ridiculous. And we had just met and you like whispered over to me like, what about fiction?
Yeah. Any novels in there? Please tell me you've been reading your children Narnia at least. Like come on.
Something.
Yeah. Anything. Yeah.
Little Women. Like, I don't care.
I know. Yeah. I don't. The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it sort of showed. But anyway, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that reading does, this is just, the existence of books, okay? A 2-decade-long study found that the mere presence of a home library increases children's academic success, vocabulary development, attention, and job attainment. Basically, it showed having a large library of 500 books or more, which I'm like, no fucking way does anyone have 500. I mean, think about it. I don't now, but I probably did growing up just because my grandparents just loaded us up with books. I think my parents' house had at least 500 books. But just the exposure to that increased the kids' advantages by like a 3.2-year leap above their peers on average.
Dang.
Yeah.
So that's just like books. That's not
just
like
having physical
books
in your house.
If you have 500 kids' books.
And they don't go in very deep to that. I mean, that's a pretty advantaged household to be in, to have 500
you
books.
have a library at that point. I mean, you could also... I know a lot of people who would just like shove them on their shelves.
Yeah.
But that's so interesting.
My mother just collected books. And it's just... And I think about it, like, growing up, my parents just collected books. And it wasn't like it was, like, top-notch literary fiction or something. It was, like, my dad read Analog, which is, like, the science fiction pulp magazine. Mm-hmm. He still is subscribed to it, I think, since the 60s.
That's awesome.
And so we just had copies of that. Like, anywhere you went in the house, you could just pick something up and read it.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened to me a lot growing up. I just picked up a book and started reading it, Yeah. And it used to be when I was growing up, we would sit in the living room together and all read. And that was like our family time.
That's lovely.
Everybody read their own book. And like Dad would have like the sports game, usually football, on mute. And like look up the sports game. He'd look up once in a while at the score and then go back to the reading whatever he was reading. Like that's what we did.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Very lucky.
Yeah, I've had teachers tell me that they can tell that Charlie gets like encouraged to read at home. And I'm not really sure why, but I think part of it is because she goes over to the books by herself and will like just flip through them and like read, quote unquote. She can't read. She's actually learning really well, but she's 4, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes me so proud. I'm like, we do care about books.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think about my nieces and nephews all the time. My sister takes them to the library and they come home with like stacks of 10 books and like,
yes,
they'll be back next week for more, and I buy them books all the time for Christmas. But okay, so here's a statistic. So according to Hari, between 2008 and 2016, the market for novels fell by 40%.
Between 2008 and 2016, is that what you said?
They said in 2011 alone, it was like a complete drop-off of people buying novels. God. Which doesn't bode well for the
novelists.
the state of reading fiction.
Whoa.
I mean, you think what happened in 2008?
Mm-hmm.
Facebook became
Oh, I was going to say the financial crisis, but yeah,
That also,
you're right.
which
You're right.
you would have thought, we would have all stayed home and
No,
read
you're
books.
right though. Facebook.
Yeah.
Was that
That's
2008?
2006, I think, was kind of when it opened up to non-university students. And then
Yeah,
by
that makes
2008,
sense.
I didn't really use Facebook until,
I joined it later.
yeah, I joined it in 2004 when I was a senior in college, but
Okay.
didn't really use it until later. So,
I think I joined it in like 2010, but I don't quote me on that.
yeah. Facebook has no idea. Sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
you joined in 1969. It's like,
Yeah.
no, that's not possible.
Oh, no,
But
that's not true. There's no way it was 2010 because I graduated college then, and I was definitely on it. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of, when the iPhone came out and then when Facebook and Twitter became a thing you could scroll, we kind of lost interest in real
Wow.
reading.
Wow.
So, no wonder we're sad and anxious all the time. Reading isn't just an escape or a form of entertainment. It's a flow state that reduces our anxiety, builds our confidence, and increases our empathy.
And 100% it does do that.
And all three of those things are problems that children, teenagers have today because they're not reading books, and that we as adults have because we doom scroll, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So I wanted to get a little bit into some stats about physical books. So yes, you want to have physical books. That's the takeaway from this. We want to be reading. We want to have physical books. But here's some issues. According to the Chicago Review of Books, Chicago, and you went through this in our paper episode, I believe, too.
Okay.
Over 10 million trees are wasted on unread books every year. And paper makes up more than a quarter of our landfill waste in the world. In the US alone, we use 32 million trees to produce books every year. In 2023, and now this is another thing, where we spend our money on books. Americans spent $29.32 billion on recreational books, both digital and print. Amazon gets most of that, selling about 300 million print books and 487 million ebooks every year, which is about 28 billion worldwide, so not just in the US.
Oh my God.
They control over 50% of all new book sales in the US, and they're responsible for 85% of ebook sales. So I've railed against Amazon being the devil on this podcast quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it troubles me. It is very easy to go online, to go on your Kindle even and click, buy new book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very easy to just order a book off Amazon and have it delivered to your door. You don't have to go to, get in the car. You don't have to worry about anything. I don't want to do that anymore with Amazon. Yeah. I also don't want to throw books away. So I wanted to get into how can you responsibly read books. And
Yes.
on that note, I think we should take a wee break.
Awesome.
All right. So if you want to get back into reading, I didn't really go into tips about how to quit distracting yourself and do it. But I think the thing to do is just do it, like pick up a book. So how can you do that?
Well,
Yeah.
I was going to say, I have some other random advice.
Yeah, we can
that
definitely
I've
go through that.
learned, but I can wait if you want me to.
Okay. Well, no, give us the advice. I think that's a great segue.
Well, basically, this was from an ADHD, I think, podcast. I'm not sure, but she basically was like, she has categories of entertainment, and I don't remember exactly how she categorizes them, but basically on the bottom, you're scraping the bottom is TikTok, then there's Instagram, then there's Facebook, and she even has like Facebook videos are a little bit longer than Instagram reels, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then YouTube videos are longer, so they're going to hold your attention a little bit better. And then, or at least for longer. And then, it's like, I don't remember what comes next, but obviously at the top is books. So like, the very best. And this is basically to reduce the amount of
context switching.
That, but it's also like if you're trying to reduce your what does she call it? There's a word where you're basically just like deregulated.
Yes. Okay.
Dysregulation or whatever. Deregulation, whatever it is. If you want to reduce that amount, then you're going to try to focus on more. And like movies are up there too because they're long.
Yeah.
So what I started doing is I've tried to start. I kind of don't look at Instagram as much anymore, which is hard, right?
Yeah.
But I just am so annoyed by it right now, and that's probably going to change because I'm sure my algorithm will be like, "Come back to us."
There's bunny rabbits out here. Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of stopped looking at that so much, and then I started like watching movies again, and I actually feel like that's helping, and I kind of like feel my attention
coming back,
yeah, and then it just feels like a little bit less daunting. So I think if you like take steps and go step up, if you're starting at TikTok, like you probably can't jump right into books, honestly. You can, but it's going to be hard.
I mean, it's kind of like quitting any addiction.
Yes. I mean, because that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, you can go to cold turkey, but it's going to be hard.
Yes.
And yeah, one step at a time, I think, is a really good way to do that.
And you can skip a couple. You don't have to go like exactly step by step, but yeah, like start with a movie, see how you feel, and if you're like, oh, this feels really good, then maybe you'll want more of that, and that more can it's even better from a book. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because I wasn't watching movies for so long because of this exact thing. Because I was like, I don't feel like I can. Yeah. The last one went well, so that's good.
Yeah, good. I mean, we have to realize that social media, especially TikTok and Instagram, and the shorts that they've come up with on YouTube too. I know Sean has like, I can't handle those shorts because I just go through them, and it's like, this is how TikTok feels, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, they're trying to monetize what works for TikTok. They're made to keep our dopamine reward system engaged, and then on top of that, the algorithm is meant to highlight anger and fear, which keeps us emotionally engaged. So it's this double-pronged addictive nonsense that, you just have to put the phone down. And like you said, plug it in the kitchen rather than your bedroom. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Which I haven't tried yet, but I haven't been doom scrolling either, so that helps. But
I've been doom scrolling a little, depending on the night. But
I've been able to catch myself, but it's not going to last forever.
No. I've been... I mean, it just depends on what's going on in my life. You know, if it was like a particularly stressful day, I'll like lay down in bed.
I've been sick. That's why. I don't have the energy to doom scroll. That's the problem.
I haven't. I had a lot of stuff going on last week, but I've been reading a lot more recently. But
nice. Okay.
So I was thinking about why the Kindle has kind of a similar effect to reading a book for me, at least, is because number one, the internet app on my Kindle is shit, so I can't just look stuff up anyway. It goes slow. You know, the only thing it's really good at is turning pages. That's the only fast thing it does. So I can't like, this is boring, I'm gonna go look at something else. It's like I just gotta keep reading. I think it's not the same as reading from page. It is the light on it, the blue light and everything else. There's not the flashing colors. There's not the great movement. It's still just words. Yeah. If you're reading on your phone, you get the blue light and it affects your eyesight differently. It affects the neurons in your brain differently. They think it's daytime. On top of that, if you're reading the New York Times on your phone, you just see the ads. There's all these distractions. I know.
Oh my God. I tried to read an article on my phone earlier today and I couldn't read it.
No, couldn't
because
finish.
It was just like skipping around and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Ugh, same with recipes.
Yeah.
It just drives me absolutely crazy.
I freaking hate it. I know. So Kindle doesn't do that.
Yes. Yep.
So that is possibly a difference between why it doesn't, for me, it seems to work fine in terms of getting me immersed in a story and my concentration back up in my flow state. So
that makes sense.
So if you want to read on a Kindle or any other e-reader, I have discovered Libby. Do you know about Libby?
I do.
Okay. I had heard about it. I'm like, I'm going to get that. And then I couldn't find my library card for some reason. And all this stuff. I finally signed on. It's so great. The Libby is an app that connects you to your local library through your library card. So you have to sign in on your phone. That's the thing. You can't sign in there's no Libby app to download directly to Kindle. And you still have to have like your Amazon Kindle account to manage like when you can download a book to your Kindle. You can't do it directly to your Kindle. But that's like, it's still a piece of cake. Like as long as you can sync your Kindle to your phone or to your Amazon account, I guess. So instead of just, I was buying books from Amazon. I was trying to find like the free versions of like classics and stuff. And I was like, why don't I just try this Libby app? Freaking love it.
Nice.
So yeah, it's really easy to borrow an ebook. You keep it in your shelf on, you can request holds on ebooks as they're available. And then you can just put it on your Kindle and read. And you have 3 weeks and you can recheck it out, whatever. I actually haven't needed to recheck a book out yet. Maybe the one I'm reading now because I'm only 4 pages into it and I think I'm a week and a half in. But
yeah,
there aren't an unlimited number of titles. That depends on how many ebooks your library has licensed.
Yeah.
So it's not like when you go on Amazon and you're going to be able to read whatever those weird erotic sex books that people write about. Like have you seen those? Like
I've heard about there's fanfic about everything.
Yeah, those are not, you're not going to find those titles,
Yeah.
And you kind of have to sort through things a little bit. And like, for instance, one of the books I want to read, they only have one copy. And so I'm waiting. I was 2 books into a trilogy and the third one is like on hold. And I'm like, who is reading this book from 1986 that isn't me?
Oh my God.
Brats.
That's the one thing that I actually stopped using it because all the books that I wanted to, I think I usually use it for audiobooks, but
yeah,
all of them that I wanted to borrow, it was like 35 people in front of me. And I'm like, oh my God.
It's gonna take forever.
I think I was like early postpartum, but I could never get around to finishing them in time. And because they were always on hold, somebody else had needed them. So I was just like, God, too much pressure.
I probably should be able to get that trilogy now. It's been more than 3 weeks. Anyway, yeah. So, I mean, there's that aspect to it.
I think I was mostly going for new books too, so that's probably why.
Yeah, I was really
I should go
surprised
for like older stuff, but
that this classic was unavailable, But there are hundreds of thousands of titles available anyway. Like I just have been going through the Pulitzer Prize winners to see from the past like 100 years and been like, what about that one?
Nice.
And then I just speed through them. It's awesome. I know Kindle is still technically a screen again, but it's better for sustained reading than my phone. I don't skim. I don't hop ahead. I don't go scrolling for something else. So Libby app is fantastic.
Nice.
Highly recommend it. And then again, libraries. Obviously, public libraries are the best if you need a book. Again, if you live in an area where the library isn't particularly well stocked, they can put holds on books from other nearby libraries and bring them through if they're in the same system. I live in a big city, so that's helpful.
Yeah.
But you can also check out movies, music, and tons of other media if you want to put your phone down and watch like something on your DVD player that I know I'm the only person in the world who still has one. But
no, we want to go back. I've actually heard a bunch of people doing this, and because I'm so upset that like we don't own anything anymore. Like we don't own our movies. Even
media.
if we buy them through Amazon Video or whatever, even if you buy them, they can be taken away. You don't freaking own it.
Yeah.
And
you could just wipe it.
Yeah. And it just so frustrates me that we don't have a thing.
Yeah.
Like we spend our money on what? On a thing that we forget we even own. Because I'm like, what Amazon movies have I bought? I don't know.
Or rented. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I want to go back to a DVD player.
Well, I have one because I have How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and I show it at my annual Grinch.
Oh, I love it.
Grinch Fest every year.
Awesome.
But I also have, this was fun the other night, my next door neighbor, he's got like a 13-year-old, and he's like, yeah, I think I'm going to stay in with my son and watch 28 Days Later. And I'm like, I have news for you. It's not streaming because of licensing stuff. I think it may have changed now since they're coming out with the new 28 Years Later.
Oh.
But it wasn't available on streaming for a long time because of all these licensing issues. But I was like, but I have a copy.
Oh my gosh.
So I've got like 3 movies with Audrey Hepburn, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and 28 Days Later,
Just happened to have exactly the movie you needed.
This is like some of my favorite. I think I have Fight Club. These are like my favorite movies from 20 years ago. But I was like, you can borrow the 28 Days Later. And
That's
he gave it
awesome.
back. And I was like, yeah, all right.
That's so
I'm a media maven, but yeah.
But I wonder if it'll be like records, I wonder.
Well, yeah, if it'll come back into being cool again. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was a while when people were like VHS cassettes because they're so weird, but they deteriorate.
Yeah,
DVDs
garbage.
Yeah, DVDs don't. They
No.
keep their quality, which is
Yeah,
really
mine
cool.
is scratching,
Yeah, as long as your,
but
for instance, puppy doesn't poke a hole through them, which
uh-huh.
Emmett did with several of my DVDs
Yeah.
at one point.
I remember you used to always take chapstick because everybody said put chapstick on
Yeah, put
them, and
Vaseline on it
I
or
don't think it
something.
works.
It's
Though.
not.
It's also probably
I
not
don't
good
know.
for the DVD player.
Yeah, the DVD player's like starts making that noise. Maybe get it checked. But yeah, I kind of want to start. I don't know. I don't have. I've been downsizing so much again. That spring cleaning episode we did a few weeks ago is
Yeah.
like still sticking with me. But
No, I get it.
yeah,
I haven't done it yet, but I've been considering it.
yeah. I mean, you can just get them from the library too. You know, if you're getting back into movies, they have a greater selection than a lot of the stuff that's on Netflix and Amazon is junk.
No, I
you
know. It's garbage. It's only
Yeah.
crap that they made. And
Yeah.
you're like, okay, you aren't good at making stuff. So can we just
Yeah,
move
it's
on?
all the same movie over and over again.
Yes.
So, yeah, maybe start
Yeah.
the DVD collection again.
Also, apologies that I'm yawning. I
It's okay.
am coming off of a sickness, so I'm like miserably tired. But I'm
You're-
here, so
You're allowed. And I'm yawning because I have high empathy.
there you go.
Okay, my next idea is independent booksellers.
There you go.
So your local independent bookseller is a really good idea. You can use a website called indiebound.org to find independent bookstores near you.
Oh, cool.
I mean, you can look them up on Google probably too, but that will list them for you. Also, bookshop.org, which I think you hooked me onto somehow.
Yeah, I think I sent you that book through Bookshop.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Bookshop.org purchases, it acts kind of like Amazon, but it purchases from independent booksellers instead of Amazon. Mm-hmm. So whoever's on their thing that has a copy of that book, they'll ship it, so you don't have to go like, does my local one have it? No, it's all independent booksellers. I have Book People here in Austin is like the big independent bookstore. There's Page One in Albuquerque. They host readings. They have a cafe. They have events. I tend to buy all of my nieces and nephews Christmas gifts from Book People. And I don't even go into the store. I just have it shipped online. I'm just like, all right, supporting a local bookstore. Here's your manga collection that you're reading, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, Kramer Books is a big one in DC.
I loved Kramer Books when I lived there.
Yeah.
We used to be like, my college boyfriend and I would go, and it was always like an hour wait for a table for dinner, and we would just go look through the books
Yeah, you don't
for
even care.
hours. No.
Is it
No.
still there? I would.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't know after the pandemic what got killed off, but
It's
no,
still there. I think
Yeah.
I read something about it in the New York Times or something, or the New Yorker at one point, but yeah, it's still there for sure.
Oh wait, now it's called Kramer's.
It was always called Kramer's.
No, formerly known as Kramer Books, and afterwards.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Okay. My
Well-
mind is blown. Anyway.
Yeah, Kramer Works.
Same
I always thought it
store.
was Kramer Cafe, but yeah. I think it might have
Kramer
downsized a little. They had the best cheesecake.
Oh, nice.
I don't know why that's the only thing I remember eating there.
That's
But
funny.
They had really good cheesecake.
Yeah.
Another thing is, and this is I think it's a chain, but Half Price Books. Do you have those out there? We have a couple here in Austin.
Maybe. I don't know.
So they buy and sell used books.
Oh, cool.
So it's cheaper, than your independent bookseller, even though you want to support them, but it's a pretty good place to find. And you can always find last year's, Where the Crawdads Sing or whatever the hit book was that everybody read in the book club. They'll have dozens of copies of it. So if you can wait a year for the cool book to come out, you can go buy it for half price at Half Price Books.
Right. Right.
Worth it. And those books don't end up in the trash, which is nice. And you can also sell them back when you're done. I don't know how much you'll get, but a couple bucks.
Yeah.
But might be worth it. If you got some good books that you're done reading that are hip that people want, you can go sell them back to Half Price Books.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, and actually, I used to work for a used bookstore, and they do online delivery.
Oh, cool.
They're like a local Maryland thing, but it's called Wonderbook, and they're at wonderbk.com. Unfortunately, they couldn't get the wonderbook.com.
Classic.
But they do they have a lot, and
Yeah.
you can get it delivered, and I think it's free shipping.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. At least when
Like, I would
worked there, it
assume
was.
the shipping would be as expensive as the book.
I
So
know, and I remember it being free. So,
Wow.
yeah.
I wonder if they get like a bookseller's discount or something.
Well, it's all used.
Yeah, but still, like, I
Oh,
think
you mean like
there's
media
bulk
mail or whatever?
rates. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes 2 weeks to get anywhere, but
It could be. Yeah. I mean, when I ordered from them, because I usually just go in person, but when I order it from them, it's pretty fast actually. Anyway,
yeah.
check her out.
Yeah. That's Wonderbook. Okay. Another idea is have book parties. So not like a book club, but get your friends together to swap books like we do with clothing swaps, right?
I love that.
You won't be reading the same thing. So again, not the same book at the same time. So not exactly a book club, but you can discuss the books afterwards, and be like, there was something I read a couple years ago about the idea of a book list for therapy. And it's the books people recommend to you when you're going through a breakup or a death.
Oh, man.
And I've wanted to be back in reading enough that I could do that, where it's like, you know what really helped me through this time was these three novels really are resonating with me for this.
Yeah, that would be so great. I remember looking so hard for a book or a movie or something that was like for the person doing the breaking up, because I was like going through a bad breakup and I felt horrible and I wasn't I was so miserable, and I'm sure the other person was more miserable, but it's like every perspective is always the person getting broken up with
and not the person doing the breaking
yeah
up.
And I couldn't find it anywhere.
I mean, I can think of some nonfiction books, but yeah.
Unless it's about like abuse, but that's not that.
Yeah, no, exactly. But like breaking up with a guy just because it's not right.
Yeah.
As opposed to like,
and you still really appreciate them.
Yeah,
but it's just not.
There's nothing wrong. It's just not right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Eat,
anyway,
Pray, Love.
I don't remember that story actually. Maybe.
She leaves her perfectly acceptable husband.
Oh, does she?
To go on her Eat, Pray, Love journey. Yeah.
Interesting. Perfectly acceptable.
I mean, that's what a lot of people like.
Yeah.
What? It's like, yeah, she just wasn't in the right place to be married. So
yeah. But anywho's, yeah, no, I love that idea to have that kind of list, because I remember Googling for that stuff millions of times. So
yeah,
help.
Yeah, I'll think of something. Well, I mean, you're not gonna go through a breakup anytime soon, right? But
right.
Jane Eyre.
Pet grief. That's the next thing coming.
Oh, okay. Marley and Me.
Oh, I read that so long ago and it was so sad.
So sad. Yeah. Bawling. Yeah, pet grief's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, I'm completely unprepared for these things. I'm looking at my bookshelf now and I'm like, The Savage Detectives? I don't think that's going to get you through. Nine stories, J.D. Salinger. Great for everything. J.D. Salinger is actually really good for everything. Yeah. I don't know. Well, my last idea was to buy from your friends, because you probably have friends who have books.
Oh, that they're trying to, or that they're not going to read anymore. Yeah.
Or like, no, like my book. Buy my book. Like I'm an author. No, but yeah, sorry. You could buy books from your friends too if you're not just going to buy. I just hand books out. It used to be anytime somebody came over, I'd be like, read this and like shove them out the door with it. Totally. But yeah, I have books. Some of my friends. I've bought every single book any of my friends has written that I know of. They're all sitting on that shelf right there. Yeah. And that way somebody's getting something out of it, even if it's just numbers on it. I probably get $1.50 every book we sell, and all of mine are only available on Amazon. Sorry, but
yeah, well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
such is the economy. Yeah, I have one of yours sitting over on my shelf right over there.
The Lugaroo, probably. Because you wouldn't want to read the others. Yeah. I wouldn't want them to be 2 of the 500 books in your house. Did I tell you I'm writing customized fiction for an old man right now? Very specific, customized erotic fiction. By the way, everyone, I write erotic fiction.
You did tell me that. Yeah.
He loves it. So 10 pages at a time. It's getting kind of difficult. There's too much detail. There's way too much detail.
That's like something you may need therapy after.
I think I might write a book about writing this book for him.
Totally.
Is what it's going to be.
Oh my God. It's so good.
But yeah, so.
Fascinating.
Anyway, I do that if anybody needs 2-page, 5-page, 10-page erotic fiction. Go to my website and make an order. And it actually comes out to less than 20 cents a word, which is the cheapest going rate of any blog writer in the world. So
Yeah.
you'd be getting a steal out of this.
Yes. Totally. That's so cool.
So those were my ideas. What do you think I was missing? Because this was kind of a hastily put together.
Oh.
Again, it's been a week of been unable to concentrate. But what else are we missing about the joy of books?
Oh. You mean just in general?
Yeah, what did I miss?
Now I feel like I'm on the spot.
Shoot. What was the last great book you read? How about that?
Oh, well, Braiding Sweetgrass. I've talked about that book
Yes.
a million times on
Yeah.
this podcast. Yeah, and I find myself like reading. The problem I have is I think this is an ADHD thing, but
It might be.
I don't want to finish a good book. So
Yes, that's the hardest part.
yes, so I'll like not finish it, and then I'll have 15 unfinished books, and it's not
Yes.
because the book's bad. It's because
It's
I don't
too
want it
good.
to end.
Yes, you're going to lose your friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even
No, I get
though
that.
I hate it, and I hate this feeling of like I feel scattered, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what's wrong with me? Why can't I finish anything? But yeah, so that's sitting by my bed, and I will pick it up and slowly make my way through. I do the same thing with video games. I don't think I've
Oh, that's fair.
ever finished a video game. And Joe was
Yeah.
like, you literally have 120 hours on Zelda. And you didn't finish it. And I'm
Because
like,
I'm not ready to say goodbye to Link.
exactly. Like, I am exploring the countryside,
Mm-hmm.
sir. give me some space.
It's a great thing about like MMORPGs is that they have no
Yes.
end. They just
Yes.
keep expanding.
Yeah,
So,
and I know when I finish it, I'm not going to enjoy
doing it again or
exploring.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not going to play it again.
Right.
Well, I probably wouldn't, but yeah, so I don't know. That's like my one kicker. And I had for a period where I limited myself to 2 at a time. So I could have 2 different genres, I guess, or like 2 different emotions that the book will give me. Like one sort of uplifting, funny, whatever, and one like more serious topic. Could be fiction, could be not, whatever. But I haven't actually done that for like years. And it used to work really well. And then I would actually finish the damn books because I was like, all right, I want to move on to the next one.
Yeah.
But
that's
yeah,
fair.
I need to reinstate that.
I found in our current political climate, I have had a lot of trouble reading anything that was written after like 1995.
Yeah.
Like
You mean after or before?
after 1995.
Oh,
I can only
after.
read stuff before. I read a whole bunch of like, again, I went through the Brontes, like
Yes.
Charles Dickens, like the book with the latest published date that I think I've read in the last 6 months has been 1992, and that was The Parable of the Sower. Like,
Okay.
it's like I can't do it.
That's interesting. Why is that? It just doesn't interest you?
So I was trying to read, I think it was somebody bought me like the Booker Prize winner or the Pulitzer Prize winner from 2016 or 2015. And I forget which, it's sitting on I just can't see it from here. And I started reading it, and it was right after Trump took office, I think. And it was a completely different book with Obama as president than it was with Trump as president. And it wasn't like the things that were kind of tongue in cheek or outlandish about it no longer were.
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of like, it's really hard to watch The Handmaid's Tale right now.
Yeah. Oh, I can't. There's no way in hell.
It's too real. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had some trouble reading things that take place. I did read The Night Watch, which won the Pulitzer 3 years ago. And that's set in post-Civil War America.
Oh, wow.
And that
Like-
I could read.
Post actual Civil War or post?
Yeah, like 1866.
Okay.
Yeah.
Post like
Yeah.
potential Civil War. Yeah. Okay.
No.
I
Like,
gotcha.
the actual Civil War that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was brilliant. Yeah, that book just kind of floated over you. It's like if you read it, you're like, the words are words, but I don't know if it made, and then you just have this image painted and you know exactly what happened, and you're like,
Wow.
it was just brilliantly written.
What was it called?
The Night Watch.
Okay. I
That
don't
is
know
a
that one.
sad story, but
Ah,
it's
yes.
beautiful.
Okay.
Um, so there's been a few, but it's like if it's set in contemporary times and it's written contemporarily, it's very difficult for me to read it.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense actually. The any sort of so I'm really drawn to like historical nonfiction, and I love anything set around like turn of century 1900, and I don't know why. I literally have
Yeah.
no idea why. It's just so fascinating to
It's
me.
an interesting time.
It
Yeah,
is.
Gilded Era,
Yeah.
um, kind of Victorian stuff. I mean, I
Yeah, I read the
I don't
book
know.
on like the Lusitania.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Like just blew my it just was so good.
Yeah. Oh, have you read The Devil in the White City?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that is a brilliant book.
Same
Yeah.
author, Eric Larson. Yeah, he wrote
Okay,
the
yeah.
the Lusitania one. Yeah,
Okay. That
it's
there you go.
good.
He's just a I mean, that's basically a fiction story, the way he tells
I
things.
know. That's what I'm
It's
saying.
so brilliant.
I
Yeah.
know. It's like
It's
really
there's nothing dry
amazing.
about it. You just keep
No,
blazing through it.
it's
Yeah.
like I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
A lot of work. Um.
I just read Lady Chatterley's Lover a few months ago,
Oh.
which is like 1930s,
Okay.
1920s. Yeah.
Okay. I
Um,
haven't read it.
I mean, D.H. Lawrence is a little dense. Again, the words just kind of float over you
Oh.
sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's about, I don't want to give too much away, but it's basically about industrialization, and it ruining
Okay.
our ability to be human.
I tried
Which
to
I
read
was like,
another
this is
book.
kind of perfect.
Yeah. I tried to read another book by him, and I didn't. I don't think I made it through it. Now I can't even remember what the hell the title was. It was so long ago. Something about love. Shoot, I would figure. I am not a title rememberer.
I'm really bad about it too. Yeah. And I'm very sporadic about who I read. Like, definitely have read a lot of Kurt Vonnegut, but other than that, it's like I have one book by this author and one book by this author,
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I've
same.
read all Jane Austen. I love Jane Austen, but she's just so funny.
Oh, yes, Jane Austen is so good, so
Yeah.
good. Like
And we
that's
were
not
like,
just.
somebody told me it was just romance. Like she was Mark Twain's favorite author. Like she is so brilliant.
I know, and so sarcastic and
Yes.
hilarious.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's like
And but not condescend. Like the way I was telling my therapist this the other day, and I was like, I don't know if I can write this book for this old man because it's getting kind of weird. But it's like the way that she would write her characters, she was never condescending. She would just tell you exactly what they were thinking.
yes.
And she didn't say this woman was stupid. She said, the lady who ever considered the highest form of art to be potatoes. And, like,
Yes,
it's just,
yes,
it's a description showing you that they're stupid rather than telling you that they're
yes.
stupid. And it's brilliant. And I'm like, that's how I need to write this erotic fiction.
Yeah,
Is I'm just
and
going to direct quote him. And yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's genius. Yeah, because
Yeah.
she's just like talking about people in her society that she
Yeah.
lives. It's like
Yeah.
that's who she's around all the time, and
Yeah.
it was probably, I don't know, like was it controversial back then,
I don't know. I don't
or did people just not get it?
think so.
Because I've talked to so many people who were like, I didn't know she was funny. And I'm like,
I know.
if she's not funny, then I'm really not getting it. You know?
The fact that she fell off reading, like we didn't read any Jane Austen in high school. I was
No.
opposed to it. I was like, I'm not going to read that.
Yeah, 'cause you think it's like,
anti-feminist trap,
romance.
claptrap. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's so brilliant.
I know.
Yeah, and the stories themselves are. She
Funny.
did write them as their satire too. On
Yes.
some level.
Yes.
They're biting criticisms at the time for sure.
Yes.
And of romance. I mean, she never married.
Right.
Like all of this is. I don't know. I fell in love with her after college, so yeah.
Yeah. I don't know when I did. I think I randomly read one of her books because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a classic. I need to. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
is
Mind
so
blowing.
good.
And I think it was my college boyfriend because we had 500 books in the house because we were book hoarders. But
Uh-huh.
he had one paperback and I was like, ugh, I'll read it. And then I was like,
Yes.
and then he bought me like the collected works of Jane Austen. It's one of the nicest, it's the one hardback I have kept away from the bunny rabbits or the puppies. It's like always on a higher shelf. And
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I figured out what it is. Women in Love was the D.H.
Women
Lawrence
in
book
Love.
I tried to read. And I
Okay.
never finished it. I was pretty young,
Yeah.
like early 20s, but...
I think like the brilliance of D.H. Lawrence is like you'll be reading and you'll be like, and then all of a sudden some turn of phrase or something will happen and you'll be like, that's freaking profound,
Yeah.
man. That's
yeah.
deep."
I could see that.
Yeah. But
They're just so long,
I know.
which is
yeah.
appropriate for this
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
Too many words.
So many words. But that, I mean, yeah, I have Moby Dick sitting over here as my MFA program advisor used to say, if you are having trouble turning pages, it's just not the book for you. Put it
Yes.
down. You can come back to it later.
Yep.
We don't all have to read Infinite Jest.
And we shouldn't.
I want to someday, but
Really? Ugh.
I don't know.
What's
yeah, I feel
his
like that's
name?
kind of
Why can't I think of anybody's name?
Foster Wallace.
Ugh, yeah. Gross.
I
He's
know.
like the ultimate, like...
Manosphere.
Yes.
Pre-Manosphere.
Yes.
I feel that kind of way about Chuck Palahniuk sometimes too.
Oh, I've never read anything by him, but I could totally see that.
I've read it's a few books by Chuck Palahniuk I've read.
Yeah.
The Boys Club. I mean, that's not a book by him, but there's a couple
Yeah.
of his. I feel like you can, when a man says to you like he really likes Chuck Palahniuk or Charles Bukowski, you can kind of be like, okay, so you hate women? I'm always like, so name 3 books by a woman you've read. And the only time any guy, like, I was having a conversation with a guy and he's like, oh, I really love Ayn Rand. And that was the only book by women he'd read. And I was like, that's
What?
coded also. That's coded.
Whoa.
I was like, okay, well,
Like,
I'll
how is
talk
that
to you
even
later.
possible? Okay.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
lord. Oh, one thing about books, actually, that I've been thinking about a lot, and it's something I've been doing with Charlie. A lot of books, kids' books, but any kind of book, is written with male characters.
100%.
And, like, more than... I'm noticing it more now that I'm, like, aware of it, and I have a little girl who's, like, just learning what pronouns are, and
Yeah.
she's just figuring out, like, is that a girl or is that a boy? You know, she'll ask all these questions, so she's really aware of these things. And obviously pronouns are heated, whatever. But when we are reading, so there's these books called Goodnight Construction Site, and there's a whole series.
Yes,
and
I've read
they're
them.
so cute. They're
Yeah.
so cute. But every single vehicle is a boy.
A boy.
And it drives me crazy. So I will read it like the excavator's a girl, and then like half of them are girls. And it takes like a little bit more brain power because I'm like, okay,
Yeah, you have to be like, her.
her, yeah, like
Yeah.
her mixer fell off or whatever. But I don't know. I think I'm gonna start doing that with more books because I did it the other day with oh, she's really into Minecraft right now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And there's not really any female characters aside from like the one girl. It's like always the one token
There's a
girl or
token.
whatever. Yeah. And so I started calling her little like skeleton. She calls them skeletons. But I called them girls. I was like, "Do you think this is a boy or a girl?" She's like, "A girl. I think it's a girl." And because I've noticed how much I just default to boys,
Yeah.
and
It's
it drives me
very
crazy.
easy. That was my entire premise for my thesis for grad school was I was like, for 6 months, I'm only going to read books by women.
Oh,
That's the
cool.
only criteria. That was all I did. Books by women.
Wow.
And I can't even remember half of them. You know, some of them were not great. Some of them were pulp. Some of them were romance. Some of them were classics. You know, but it was like just books by women. That's it.
That's awesome.
And just see how that goes, you know.
Yeah.
And now I'm very aware of it. And people of color, you know. That, again, if you're trying to increase your empathy for the world around you, you need to be reading stories about people who aren't like you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is interesting how it has changed my perspective on things, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. I do the same with podcasts. I only have like one podcast that I listen to that has a male host, and it's not even like a choice. It's just like a preference.
What you're interested in.
Yeah.
I think that's I mean, yeah, I only listen to Chuck and Josh on stuff you should know. That's kind of the only podcast I listen to. But yeah, I am kind of aware of that if I'm watching a movie or
Yeah.
a TV show or like, okay, you know the Bechdel test? You know about the Bechdel test? Yeah. So I apply that to like books and podcasts.
Yeah.
And even when I realize that the friends we hang out with now, we tend to skews very male, and I'm like, this party wouldn't pass the Bechdel test. It's just me. It's just me. I'm the only woman here. You know, Ada, come here, Ada. We're gonna talk about something other than a man.
Talk about food.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I should point out for listeners who don't know, the Bechdel test was introduced in a comic from the 80s by a lesbian, and it's two women who are walking down the street, and they're talking about what they want to do for their date. And one of them says, well, do you want to go see a movie? And the other one says, oh, I have a rule. I only see movies if there's at least two women who have a conversation about something other than a man. And the only movie that has passed that bar in the last 10 years was Alien. And it's only because she talks the alien as a female.
No way.
And she says, get off her, you bitch. Yep, that's the only reason it passes the Bechdel test.
Way.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it's a funny joke, but it actually, when you get down to it, it's kind of like, oh, actually, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Does this movie have two female characters, main female characters? They're supposed to, the updated version is they're supposed to be named. They have to have names.
Okay. Yeah.
Or in a major role, and they have to have a conversation about something other than a man. That's it. That's the whole Bechdel
Doesn't
test.
seem hard.
It's Alison Bechdel was the comic's name.
Okay.
Comic
Okay.
cover's name. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, okay.
That's insane.
We have talked for nearly an hour about
I
books.
know.
So
I'm not surprised.
yeah. Well, I guess I should say next week you are doing the joy of ripping up invasive species.
Yes. The joy of absolutely demolishing my invasive plants.
I am excited to hear about this one.
I've been talking about this for like off and on for 100 years, so I'm excited to actually focus on it because
Awesome.
It's like just always in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
If you're on Instagram, yeah, we're at Greening Up My Act on Instagram. Come give us your book suggestions, and maybe we'll make. I don't know. I'm not on Book Talk, so I refuse to get on Book Talk.
I don't even know what that is.
Good.
If
It's TikTok
something-
with talking about books.
No. Oh, duh. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, but go read a book.
Yay. Hopefully it's easier now.
Yeah.
Just ease into it.
Just easy. Yeah. Start with a movie.
Yeah.
All right. See you next week.
Okay, bye.